Welcome to Voice Rising with Kara Johnstad. Enjoy weekly conversations with leading luminaries, pioneering visionaries, singers, poets, musicians, and sound healers as we explore the profound role our voice plays on the path to self-realization and global enlightenment. The internationally acclaimed singer, composer, author, healer, recording artist, voice expert, creator of Voice Your Essence, and founder of the School of Voice, Kara Johnstad uses her extraordinary spiritual gifts to empower others. Everything in this world vibrates. Everything has a frequency. A pioneer in the field of voice work and transformational songwriting. Her breakthrough methods are helping thousands of people worldwide fine-tune their body-mind-spirit system and unlock the energetic frequencies of limitless creativity, health, and abundance. Share your voice, ask your questions, join in the conversation. Receive life-changing, positive transformation and rise together to create a sound world. And here's your host, Kara Johnstad.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Voice Rising. Today, we're going to deepen our conversation on all things voice with our guest, Lisa G. Littlebird. Lisa is a singer, composer, writer, and a voice coach with more than 30 years of musical experience. Her mission is to restore community singing to our daily lives in service to a vision of a thriving and harmonious planet. She leads community singing workshops and retreats throughout the U.S. and internationally, and has been on the faculty of Esalen Institute since 2006. She's also the creator and director of Littlebird Flight School, an online song leading training program for emerging song leaders with more than 200 worldwide graduates. Welcome, Lisa Littlebird, to Voice Rising. It's good to have you with us today.
It's such a pleasure to be with you, Kara. Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome. How are you doing on this solstice day, knowing that we are bringing light into that dark moment?
It's a beautiful way to celebrate the solstice here with you, talking about the gifts of the voice and the qualities of presence and energy that we can offer the world that way. I feel really well and nourished. Thank you. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm very good. And our paths, even though we haven't met personally, there's so many things that resonate the way you're working. I know so many of the songs that you also know. That's the beauty and gift also of the oral tradition. You are a community song leader. Was community singing also a part of your childhood? Did you have the churches and the school choir moments?
Definitely. It wasn't in the oral tradition format that I offer it now. It was more performance focused, but I was very lucky to grow up in really thriving Midwest culture where music and the arts were very prioritized in the schools. And so I recognize that's not always the case anymore. And so it's been a real gift. I was I was in one of the very first high school choirs to ever perform at Carnegie Hall. Wow. And my church had 12 choirs. So It was a very big part of our culture growing up.
You said the Midwest. I'm actually from Wisconsin, so I was curious now, where did you grow up in the Midwest?
Another heartland connection. Yeah, I'm born and raised in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Wow, that's great. I went to a music camp long time ago in Decorah, Iowa. So there you go. There you go.
Beautiful.
People dream. They really dream of finding something that makes their soul sing. They dream of finding their vocation, their true calling. You seem like you've literally found it. What was the turning point for you when you realized that you wanted to dedicate your life to music and the voice and community?
It's a good question. There's never a moment where I just say, this is what I'm meant to do. It's a series of just one foot in front of the other kind of steps. And yet there were some moments of leaping. And one of the moments that comes to mind was when I moved to California in 2005 and was living and working at Esalen Institute in Big Sur. And that was a joy. And I started offering community song classes there for the first time ever while I was living there. But it was a vast minority of my life experience there. And I started making websites because that was a skill that I had. And so that became my primary source of income for a number of years. And during that time, I started a little local group. So gathering folks from Big Sur, sometimes 6 people, sometimes 12, very intimate, very informal, very non-performative. And that became such a joy and began gaining traction that after about 3 years, I had 2 groups, one in Monterey with about 30, 35 singers, and then the Big Sur group had about 20. And I just took a leap. And on New Year's Day, I announced to them that I had a dream of making my living with music and with this offering, and letting go of the web work, which was a bit soul-sucking for me with that many hours in front of the screens. And I received a whoop and a holler from the community in response, and they totally stepped up. And as I made space for that, I made it a reality within the year. By December, it was 100% of my income stream, and I haven't looked back.
Wow, good for you. The world needs this so much. You spoke a little bit now about this non-performance space, or one can't say non-performance, but it's this space of sharing song without having to think of the school competition or reading notes, right? And sorry, I just swallowed.
Exactly.
Weirdly, but I remember as a child growing up in Blair, Wisconsin, that my great-grandparents, they would sing Grace at the table, and they would often have the fiddle and tell and share stories around this potbelly stove. And it just seems like now we are grabbing our phones, or you have families. we not only have 3 different, I'm saying as a kid, we had 3 channels on the TV, and now we have thousands of channels, right?
Right.
What would happen if we plugged into each other in the evening, and the families would start to sing together or tell stories together and shift away from their electronical devices? Would that bring automatically more harmony to our families and communities?
Let's find out.
Let's find out. I'm all with you. Yes.
All of you over in Europe do a little better job of this than the Americans that I've seen. I see, salons kind of still pop up more in European culture. But what I do see over here in America, and I'm deeply a part of, is a community singing movement that's very intentional and thriving and growing.
Nice.
Amidst, the pandemic is wobbling the whole thing a little bit. I really feel it will come back larger and more vital than ever when we can gather safely. And I really just know firsthand, like so many of us, like you, I'm sure, know how the power of focusing on a song can shift the quality of our sense of ourselves, our sense of the world, our entire attitude and outlook in a matter of minutes. And I just don't know of any other technology that is so effective.
Yeah, it's true. I think that a song, what I was saying, what I like to say too, is that singers and musicians, we seem to be the ultimate peace activists, because everything always resolves at the end. People that don't understand music, they don't get this, but we start in a key, we might go through certain climaxes and tensions or whatever, but it always resolves. There's always a happy ending, right? I mean, and I think that we sense that there's a harmony when we sing together or when we sing songs, and it's this intentional Yeah, intentional being together, intentional honoring emotions. I want to talk a little bit about you also as a songwriter. So you're leading these groups. How does leading song circles feed your songwriting? How does being a voice coach make you a better singer? You are radiating all these different roles, but in the end, they're coming from one voice, one wholehearted person. How do you manage to carry so many different roles?
Well, I would say it's entirely self-serving.
Yeah,
I sing what I need to hear, and I offer what I need to receive.
beautiful.
And I find that it just naturally generates resonance with
Yeah.
others, and then we share. And so my songwriting has been largely focused in the community singing repertoire realm, which is quite simple because most songs, I call them pocket songs, are about 4 lines or less, which is the sweet spot for easy memorization on the spot. And so they're mantra, really, and they are opportunities to sing and live into the qualities and messages that we are wanting to cultivate. And so I sing what I need to hear.
Beautiful. You do have a new single out. You released it during the pandemic. It's called Holy and Whole. And let me share a couple of your words. Actually, this is an excerpt from the song. I am invited to be delighted inside of this life, to design, to refine, to shine. I'm holy and already whole. This feeling revealing I'm alive. Talk to us about this new single that you brought out during the pandemic.
Well, that's a great example of singing what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
I've seen in your interviews you talk about melodies running through you all the time, and I'm the same. They just are. Just a living kind of jukebox, and melodies. I have probably 350 voice memos on my phone of song starts, just melodies living in my being. And so I just really wait until there's a persistent one. Or on a day that I feel receptive, I just ask for something to come through. And every once in a while, it's like a divine gift. It just kind of flows out. And Holy and Whole was a sweet experience, actually, because the majority of the melody and a lot of the kind of song framework came out in 2 minutes, just all the way. And then I noticed that in my melodies, I can feel the vowels of the words before I can feel the words themselves. And so then it becomes a little bit of a game where I get to play with the melody until I see which vowels lead me to the word that wants to live there. And I got really in my head for about a day where I was really like thinking a lot and trying to get the words and having zero success. And so then I just went and kind of took my own advice and remembered to kind of connect to the quality of the energy of the message that I wanted to share, and did a little silent meditation, and 7 verses came out in 5 minutes. So it was a really good teacher of the lessons, I think, of kind of the pandemic, of that it's a little bit paradoxical, but sometimes the less we do, the more productive we get.
It's so funny. I saw it's very funny because I always am seeing like sounds and hearing sounds and numbers. And you said literally 2 minutes, which is 120 seconds, which is 12. And now you just said 7 verses in 5 minutes. I was like, wow, magical number 12 coming here. I want to listen to this song together with our audience, and then we'll probably go right from the song into a break. So this is a new release from Lisa Littlebird, Holy and Whole, and it's available everywhere, probably where you can stream fantastic music, right?
Just about. I haven't released it on every streaming platform, but for now it's available on Bandcamp.
Okay, it's on Bandcamp. All right, so let's listen to Holy and Whole.
I am invited to be delighted inside of this life, to design, to refine, to shine. I'm holy and already hold this feeling, revealing I'm alive. And open, I am the ocean, and oh, it's alright to let go what I know, to flow holy and already hold this feeling, revealing I'm alive. Each day is revealing we are the agents of healing in this life, to be here without fear. It's clear we're holy and already hold this feeling, revealing we're alive. It's happening now, can you feel it? Oh, 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 I'd love to learn what you're teaching in this life. Be my guide for this ride. Remind me we're holy and already hold this feeling, revealing we're alive. Oh, now is the timing for higher mind to be guiding this life, to be kind, to unwind. We'll find we're holy and already hold this feeling, revealing we're alive. It's happening now, can you feel it? Oh, 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 showing me how this love is unfolding in my life. We're alive, I can feel it.
The cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organisation, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at OMTimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
With happy clients all over the world, Kara Johnstad knows that your voice is the missing link to more authenticity, abundance, creativity, and health. An internationally acclaimed voice expert, Kara's breakthrough methods have helped thousands of people successfully heal their voice wounds. and extinguish the story of self-doubt and shyness forever. Join in group trainings, attend online sessions, schedule one-on-one time, and invite Kara to work with your organization and community. Get started today. Go to www.karajohnstad.com and receive a special guided meditation designed to fine-tune your inner voice and welcome you on the voice journey.
This is Kathy Beal, host of Celestial Compass, featuring astrology you can use. Celestial Compass points you to what's going on in the sky and what you can do with it down here on Earth. We also explore fun, effective, and cosmic tools for navigating this adventure we call life. Join me the first and third Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for Celestial Compass. It's enlightening, entertaining, and empowering.
COVID-19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
If you're feeling increasingly lonely right now, you're not alone. It's totally normal. Even though we may not be able to get together in person, connecting virtually with friends and family still gives you a chance to interact with people and may help raise your spirits. Join a virtual book club, set up group text chats, or online video coffee breaks with coworkers.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Welcome back to Voice Rising. I am your host, Kara Johnstad, and with me today in the studio is singer, composer, writer, community song leader, Lisa Littlebird, whose mission is to restore community singing to our daily lives. So right before the break, Lisa, we heard your new single, Holy and Whole. And you were talking about that each day is revealing we are agents of healing in this life to be here without fear. That is a powerful mantra or a powerful affirmation, to be here without fear. Share with us a little bit more about how you see that each and every one of us are the agents of this healing life, and that we have the power to work through fear, I guess, or to detach from fear and to fill ourselves up with good thoughts and positive action. How do you see that as a leader of community?
Thank you, Kara. Yeah, it's a big question. And I guess for full disclosure, as much as singing takes the foreground of how I share myself, it's really just a vehicle for what I'm really about, which is the exploration of consciousness. And from that place, I feel that everything that manifests in our world starts as energy, starts as an idea, starts as consciousness, starts as a thought. And then the energy gains traction enough to turn into something that is expressed in physical form. And for me, music is so compelling because it's a bridge between those two places, the non-physical and the physical. And so what I meant when I wrote that particular line was, when we take responsibility for the quality of our internal energetic experience, then we are more likely to express things that are harmonious with the rest of the world. And that singing is a vehicle to do that. For me, it's like the quickest cleanup tool of my own energetic space. And I am certainly no arrived being. I grapple with the same fears and insecurities that every person on our planet works with. But the more that I practice, the more that I can see it's optional to identify with it.
I love that personal cleanup tool, because anybody who has done a lot of singing, especially community singing, knows that once you're breathing together and moving together and singing together, you leave that space changed. you leave it differently. And I think a lot of people, even when they're going to their singing classes, hopefully if they have great teachers or whatever, they leave it feeling lighter. I always think that singing is literally anti-gravitational. You know how they say the bees, they wouldn't fly if they couldn't buzz. You know, they like the bumblebee, it would be too heavy to even lift off the ground, but because of the buzz, it lifts. And when you see a group of people singing together, they are literally lifted into another space. And it's what always touches me in this time where we have a lot of fears that are planting the seeds into our minds and hearts. We also have a lot of free tools like singing, humming, dancing. They're totally free, right? I mean, anybody can tap into singing. And yet we are, or I want to say, I sense less whistling in the street, less singing while we're cooking. You know, we turn on a podcast, which, I mean, luckily we have podcasts because we're currently on a podcast together, but we stop realizing often that not only are we responsible for our, like you said, you know, to be responsible for our own moment within that matrix, but we stop often realizing that the tools are so easy that I guess we don't even wash dishes anymore by hand. We just put them in a machine. So that used to be a time when my sister and I would sing 2-part harmonies when we were, you know, asked to wash up all the dishes after dinner, right? And then it was not the most fun task. And so we would practice all our 2-part harmonies while washing dishes. So we have these tools of music that we can use ourselves or we can use collectively. How has it changed for you? You're not probably meeting as much. Are you using online possibilities to meet collectively and practice songs and do all that good stuff?
It's been a dance. I think anybody who's a choir leader would say the same. I was just in the flesh of really getting a big season going, maybe 5 sessions out of 20 into a spring season when the pandemic hit with my 165 voice choir. And so we just turned it into an online season and changed the repertoire to be more conducive to that environment, and we pivoted on the spot. I found that the Zoom singing is its own art form, and it requires a skillfulness that is also very beautiful, and it really works. Like, I would still leave the Zoom sings feeling infinitely better and changed than before, although of course it's a stark contrast to being in physical presence with all those voices. And so I haven't chosen to do a lot of that since we completed that spring season just about 2 years ago, but I am starting my first flight school cohort again in February, which will be a joy. And that is an entirely online course that is devoted to training emerging song leaders that are coming in. And we will have our very first in-person, hopefully, fingers crossed, pandemic permitting, in-person retreat in March with some different protocols in place.
This is how Littlebird gets her wings out in the world, right? And can migrate to different countries by creating facilitators who can also lead groups of people that are sharing songs. You also have on your homepage probably one of the most complete libraries of oral tradition songs that there is. I believe it's over 500 songs where people can go and see the history and listen to the melodies and really get an understanding that the oral tradition community of singing is thriving, is really thriving.
Yeah.
And
indeed.
I mean, I love it. I also love to tap into your page and learn new little rounds, like you said. I had a songwriter tell me the other day, yeah, I have so many songs I haven't finished. And I was like, actually, like you said earlier, pocket songs, I have so many songs that I hadn't finished that I turned into community songs. It was like exactly that, 4 lines or a few lines that we can all sing together. And that is a joy. I mean, it's a joy
Totally.
it's like the essence. It's like a little bit of a haiku in a way, right? You can reduce
Yeah.
it to what is essential. And
Exactly.
you've also created the Boots on the Ground singing playlist, which is a community singing playlist designed to keep us singing up our resilience and showing up for good, feeding our courage and inspiring service. How did you come up with the idea for the Boots on the Ground singing playlist?
Well, I was working in the season that got interrupted with my Wholehearted Chorus. I was collaborating with just a pioneering power of a woman, Melanie Demore, who's quite well known as a conductor and a composer and song leader. And she is African heritage, and our focus of that season was on restorative justice. And it was a little bit prescient. It was looking forward ahead of some of the big kind of cultural hard gazing that started happening in America the summer thereafter with the George Floyd murders. And so I really wanted to devote more musical energy toward another deep passion of mine, which is contributing to restorative justice and the dismantling of internalized white supremacy. And so I worked with Melanie to really offer up messages to support that movement. And I'm actually in the process right now of working with another organization that's very beloved to me called Holistic Resistance. And they are a POC-led group that offers grief camps and places for folks who have experienced systemic oppression to grieve and to heal. And we are co-curating a largely a new playlist that will be largely centering voices of color, and I'm really excited about that, which will be released in January.
Powerful. Our emotions can be very hard to navigate. We can feel grief and gratitude at the same time. We can feel immense loss and not know where we belong to, and at the same time laugh at a joke that a friend tells us. How does singing help us to navigate through trauma and to integrate really complex emotions?
Magic. It's the only actual authentic answer I have, because I don't know how, but I know it does. I know that when I give myself over to letting feeling that has been suppressed emerge in a constructive way, meaning something that is not acting out, like in the form of shame or blame, but is pure, is a clean expression of rage or of joy or of grief, that something gets to complete itself. A certain kind of cycle of energy gets to complete itself, and then it no longer is stuck in my consciousness, in my body, in my emotional construct, and there's more freedom of movement immediately. It's I literally, after grief work, can breathe more deeply. I can take more air into my body, and magic is the only way that I can sum it up.
And maybe the community also holds us in a different way. I always feel like when we offer, even as songwriters, we come to very vulnerable spaces when we write our songs sometimes. And then when we offer it and then we hear it sung back to us, we feel like that a part of our grief is being carried by more people, right? There's something
100%.
that the shame dissolves because we realize that we've all of us have suffered loss in some way. And I mean, I do have this interesting question that I ask sometimes mantra singers, right? But it's like that we have this idea of only positive. And although we have community songs that are joyful and positive, I know from the blues and from gospel, we also have songs that touch on really deep sadness. I'm feeling weary. I'm feeling tired. We shall overcome, right? These really deep songs where we're walking through a transformation in the song as we name the oppression or the oppressor, as we name it, that we name the social injustice, and then we, through the song, realize it's kind of like we gather our force, we're naming it, we're looking it in the eye, and then we start to, most of the time, we start to give a small glimmer of light. There's hope, we have this, we're together, we're strong, we're going to make it. What's the difference for you as a singer and as a songwriter to go through that transformation process that you might have in a blues or a gospel or a different type of community song than simply singing an affirmation or a mantra, I am peace, I am light, I am... What's the difference for you? Because for me, there's a difference in my body. Yeah.
Absolutely. And for me, it's all about fidelity to what's authentic, and what's authentic has to be acknowledged as whole. We live in a world of contrasts, and to only amplify the positive is bypassing half of our life force. And that I try to avoid even the words positive and negative, but really just characterizing them as different intensities and different sides of a coin. So, for instance, grief for me is the other side of the coin of love. We can't actually get away in this life with truly opening our hearts to other people without recognizing that we will lose them.
Yeah.
And when we deeply land in that remembering, it actually cultivates more love. And it recognizes the preciousness of the moment, and for me really lines me up with my life force powerfully. And it feels appropriate to be talking about this on the solstice, because that's kind of the energy of this time for me. It's about really embracing the dark. And I'm thinking of I have a dear friend, Barbara McAfee. She's another wonderful community song leader in the United States and vocal guru. And she has a winter song that starts with, every time I go into the darkness, I return with fistfuls of jewels.
Every time I go into the darkness, I return with fistfuls of jewels.
Yes, it's so beautiful in your voice. Yeah, it's a real excavation of the darkness, not as a place to be feared, but as a place to harvest, as a place to ripen, as a place to fragment, fall apart, forget the things that we think we know, and come out actually more whole and more connected.
Richer. Beautiful. Lisa, we're going to take a very short break. I love that thought, harvesting diamonds and jewels in the darkness. A very short break, and then we'll be back with Lisa Littlebird.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. ascendinghearts.com.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
The United States has the highest rate of incarceration in the world. At the Equal Justice Initiative, we believe mass incarceration has to end. There is this presumption of dangerousness and guilt that gets assigned to Black and brown people. We have to confront our history of racial injustice and commit to a new era of truth. There's something better waiting for us, something that feels more like freedom. Truth can inspire change. Please learn more at eji.org.
I am back with Lisa G. Littlebird, and Lisa's mission is to restore community singing in our daily lives. We left off with this beautiful song from Barbara McAfee, this every time we go into the darkness. And I guess the message, right, that darkness can be a place like the womb of tapping into our creativity. Lisa, you connect the world through song, and you've also created an album of community songs called Spirit Found Us. One of the songs on the album is Abre la Puerta, open the door. It says, open the door, let life in, let the sun in, let earth enter into our hearts. Tell us about this song and how it came to you. I believe it was written by Glenn Phillips.
Indeed. So Glenn is a dear friend. He is actually the lead singer of a very popular band called Toad the Wet Sprocket. And he discovered the joys of community singing, got hooked, and has been a part of this movement. And he brought his genius and skills of pop catchy harmonies and melodies, and has fed our movement with some gems like Abre la Puerta, which is an anthem of upliftment and invitation to that. I feel kind of it represents the community singing movement. It does require a certain vulnerability for those of us who've practiced without perhaps meaning to, practiced, closing our hearts to big expressive movements because of the vulnerability that it elicits, and that it can be a bit jarring to some systems to be invited into community singing when they haven't experienced it before, because it creates an opportunity for self-judgment that can be really uncomfortable and hard to tolerate. But I find that when there's this little opening into just a kind of momentum of joy that gets created in singing together, a message like Abre la Puerta, it does its own seducing and kind of seduces people out of their own judgments and fears, and suddenly they find themselves swept up into a movement. And beautiful. So this recording was never intended to be like a real the most beautiful or professional recording ever. It was really designed to get the songs with the parts in the hands of more people so that we can sing them together, in the interest of developing a more global repertoire of songs that are contemporary and speak to our contemporary hearts and minds.
Beautiful. Let's listen to Abre la Puerta from Spirit Found Us album. Abre la puerta, Lisa Littlebird. That is true. It brings so much joy, right? And it's just contagious. And in this moment of pandemics, let's hope that joy becomes contagious. I mean, I think that is, right? That we have to remind ourselves that joy is also part of our nature and that we can have it be as contagious, right?
Totally. I often say that, I think sometimes the positive emotions are more vulnerable for some, that we've really kind of gotten comfortable with complaint and with walking around at a kind of baseline neutral to bitter.
Suffering.
Totally. And to cultivate appreciation, to cultivate the open heart is a radical act and has with immediate benefit because it feels immediately better.
Yeah, I think you're right, because we often, when someone says, "How are you?" many people, well, they might say, "I'm okay," if they don't know you that well, but many people go into their problems. And of course, it's important for us to deeply listen to each other, because we need also good listening ears if we're facing struggles. But we have forgotten also just to share, like I was saying, dancing in the kitchen. Or one of my most beautiful memories was being in Italy, and strangers invited me to their home for dinner, complete strangers, and they started dancing tango. They moved the tables away and they just danced tango while they were cooking. I was like, wow, so fantastic. Before we close the show, we talked about it. You have the Wholehearted Chorus, 165 members, you just said, and it's probably still growing. You're accepting new members, I'm assuming, because we would love to see thousands of people singing together, right?
Well, we'll see. We're on a pandemic pause, but when we come back, I expect we'll be stronger than ever.
Yeah, I think so. And you have the Littlebird Flight School, training song facilitators around the world, because I believe that's now an online program, so people can join in from anywhere in the world, right? To take this work out, boots on the ground, take the work out. And I guess to close, we've had the song weaving itself through this interview. Holy and Whole is your new single. You say at the end of the song, "Now is the timing for higher mind to be guiding this life, to be kind, to unwind. We'll find we're holy and already whole. This feeling revealing we're alive. It's happening now." These are the words from Lisa G. Littlebird. It's happening now. Lisa, share with us, what is your hope and wisdom for this world that we live in? What are the golden nuggets about voice that you'd love to leave us with today on this solstice, 2021?
It's been such a beautiful pleasure to be with you, Kara. Thank you for the gift of your curiosity in your questions. I'm holding your question in this moment and feeling just a wish for presence, that we all remember that everything we're wanting is available now by opening to the fullness of our human experience without resistance. And in order to do that, it's a courageous act. It requires feeling everything that's here. Every sadness, every fear, every hope. And I really believe that if we take that courageous leap and then catalyze the feeling through the voice, that we can metabolize those feelings much easier than most of us are fearful it will be, right? That it can be much more easy than we think. And that as we do that, we immediately are rewarded with a quality of freedom in our lives, and that's infectious. And if more of us are doing that, I really believe that we will create the world that we are dreaming of.
Yeah, shift harm to harmony, create those good vibrations that we know that we hold inside ourselves. Lisa G. Littlebird, it was a great gift to have you on the show. And for those of you out there that want to know more about Lisa's work, the birdsings.com. And I know as a singer that birds, they do show us a way because they sing in those dark hours and they usher in the light. And I think that is a very wise thing to do in this moment, is to say, wow, what if a few million just started singing spontaneously in the middle of nowhere?
Right.
And we might just start having the voice revolution we've been waiting for. And I inspire everybody, as is Lisa and Barbara McAfee and so many other community song leaders out there. Let's make this holiday season a very special one, and sing to each other and be uplifted through song. So many blessings. Yeah. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Lisa. Talk soon.
Thank you.